5 takeaways from the Maple Leafs playoff run that you need to know. The Maple Leafs went out in the first round again, and on Tuesday, the Maple Leafs addressed the media discussing their thoughts on how this season played out and what's going to happen next year. A number of players addressed the media. Kyle Dubas spoke, Sheldon Keefe spoke, as well as President Brendan Shanahan, and we're gonna get down to what they all had to say. Before we do get into the video though, if you do enjoy it, make sure to leave a like. Let's try and hit a like goal of 100 likes on this video, and as always, if you do enjoy it, make sure to subscribe as well. That helps a lot. Takeaway number 1. The Maple Leafs don't need to make a Kawhi Leonard-like trade to shake up this organization. There's a lot of people who have been saying the Leafs need to go out and do what the Raptors did with DeMar DeRozan and trade him up front for a guy like Kawhi Leonard who will change the foundation of an organization. And you look at that for a second and you look at the way these two sports are run. Basketball is a lot different than hockey and the way it's played. Basketball has changed throughout recent years, but a lot of it is still the same. You can predict what happens. When the Raptors landed Kawhi Leonard, it was a big thing. And that's sort of a thing like an Austin Matthews land. He changes the way an organization plays. Hockey, the less predictable sport, you're not going to get a player of that magnitude coming into the organization and changing the way a team plays and the way a team wins. The only way I see that happening is if they make a big shift. And the Maple Leafs said on Tuesday that they're not going to make a trade for the sake of them making a trade. I personally don't think Toronto is doing anything wrong by staying put. They have a number of good players. Austin Matthews won the Rocket. Mitch Marner and Matthews played good in the playoffs. So did William Nylander. John Tavares showed up as well. Morgan Rielly on the back end. Jack Campbell even played good as well. The bottom line with this playoff run compared to the last few is the Maple Leafs played very good. They just got beat by the better team, which happened to be the back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. They took them to Game 7, they outplayed them in almost every game of the series, and pushed them to a point where they only lost by 1 goal. Sure, you could talk about the Maple Leafs closing out the series in Game 6 in overtime, but those things happen. A bounce can go the other way and it can end a game just like the flick of a switch. So when you look at the Maple Leafs, I don't think there's a lot of bad things you can take away from the series, which is why a lot of the fan base is generally okay with this loss in the first round compared to the last few. Number 2, Jason Spezza might stay, Jason Spezza may retire. Looking back to last year and the way the playoffs ended, Jason Spezza was very hungry to make a return to the Maple Leafs and prove a lot of people wrong in getting past the first round. And when it didn't happen again this season, he approached the media yesterday on Tuesday and didn't really seem confident about where his future lies. There's the possible return that he may make, and at that point you might have to come to the realization that Spezza might not be in every game he plays. He might not even be a massive part of that Maple Leafs lineup. The older you get, the more your play declines, and Jason Spezza's play, although it is very good, has gone down just a little bit more, and there's a lot of questions that remain for him in whether or not he wants to make a return as a player or as something else in the future. Personally, looking at it from my perspective, I'd love to see Jason Spezza back for 1 more season. He deserves to be on that team when they go past the first round. He provides very good things for this Maple Leafs team, and if it's not on the ice, it's in the dressing room. He speaks up, he's very good with the younger players, and means a lot to this Maple Leafs team, and I think 1 more year would be realistic to see from Jason Spezza in the NHL as a player. Number 3, the Maple Leafs need to find a way to re-sign Mark Giordano while also letting Rasmus Sandin and Timothy Liljegren have a full-time spot in the lineup. Now, this may come with some dire consequences like trading Jake Muzzin, but Mark Giordano plays a key role on this Maple Leafs team, similar to Jason Spezza in the fact that his leadership goes a long way. I think the only problem when you look at Jake Muzzin and trading him as well, he provides the same amount of leadership that Morgan Rielly, Jason Spezza, and Mark Giordano do. He's also won a Stanley Cup something that a lot of the Maple Leafs in that dressing room haven't done yet. I think the Maple Leafs need to find a way to keep Rasmus Sandin and Timothy Liljegren in the lineup full time for development's sake and just for the fact that they are both very young players and they're very good as well and mean a lot to this Toronto Maple Leafs team. And in the same breath, you need to find a way to have those veterans in there as well, complementing and helping those younger players throughout situations during the regular season and even in the playoffs. And we didn't see Rasmus Sandin in any of these playoff games. We also didn't see Timothy Liljegren very much either. I believe if the Maple Leafs want to have success next season, they're going to have to find a way to sign Mark Giordano for maybe one more year and at a low cap hit, as well as figuring out a way to keep Sandin and Liljegren in the lineup for most of the year. Number 4, the Maple Leafs need to figure out their goaltending situation. There's a lot of question marks on whether or not Jack Campbell is going to return to this team next year, and there's a lot of questions about if he does return, how much money is he going to make? There's a divide in the fan base right now about whether or not people want to see Jack Campbell return. I'd say 75% would love to see a return in the future. Then the other 25%, I believe, would like to see something different in net. Personally, for me, I'm on the side of bringing Jack Campbell back. I don't think there was a problem in his game during the playoffs or the regular season. He's a competitor, he battles, and especially in that Game 7 when he got injured, he stuck with it and stayed with the team until the end. The biggest thing about that, though, is his contract and how much he's going to make. I would like to see him make around the $3 million range. He hasn't really shown that he can be a goaltender that can stay healthy throughout the course of a regular season, but he's also shown the fact that when he's on his game, he is one of the best goaltenders in the NHL. So if there was a chance to re-sign him at $3 million per 2 years or for 3 years, I personally wouldn't be opposed to that. One of the things that Campbell needs to figure out is the fan base, the organization, and learning to play throughout the pressure. And when things go bad, he needs to be able to find a way to pick himself up and not have a stretch of games where it is not as good of play as he's been. Consistency, that's the right word. If Jack Campbell can find that consistency throughout the season after the Maple Leafs re-sign him, then they're going to look very good next year. The other half of the goalie tandem is Peter Mrazek, and whether or not the Maple Leafs will keep him is yet to be seen. I think the biggest thing when you're looking at Mrazek is his injury history. There was a number of times this season where he didn't play. He played 29 games this season for Toronto and actually came out with a .911 save percentage, which isn't bad for a goaltender as a tandem or a backup. So the question lies is whether or not you keep him and risk the possibility of him getting injured a bunch next season and trying to pull out one of the Marlies goaltenders to use as a backup netminder, or you trade him and you go out and find somebody else who might be very effective at a low cost, who could also provide as many games or maybe a bit less than Jack Campbell would. Honestly, you could either go both ways. Peter Mrazek has shown at the save percentage that he has that he's a capable goaltender, and in past seasons, bouncing back from injuries or bad play, Mrazek has been a very, very good goaltender. The only risk involved with that is the consistency and whether or not, if he has those bad stretches, it could be a lengthy stretch. It might not be a short one where he struggles, and that's the issue that I find with Mrazek. So again, you could either bring him back and hope for the best, or go out, trade him, and figure out another goaltender who could help out Jack Campbell. Last but not least, number 5, there is no Auston Matthews doomsday clock ticking on his future. Now, this question was asked during Kyle Dubas and Brendan Shanahan's media availability on Tuesday, whether or not Auston Matthews and that doomsday clock is ticking. And if you don't know what that means, he's basically saying there's 2 years left on his contract. Are you worried that if you don't win in the next 2 years, that Auston Matthews will pick up, take his bags, and go to another city? Now, I struggle with this in 2 points. One, because there's been times where Auston Matthews has spoke about what it's like to play in the city of Toronto. You see when he scores goals, either in the regular season or postseason, how happy he is, and he's talked about it many of times, that the fans in this city are the best of the best. Also, in recent years, there have been a lot of people that would think Austin Matthews would go home and play in Arizona. And when you look at their situation in the next few years and playing at Arizona State University, which I actually did like until the recent foundings that they won't be able to put anything on the ice. Yeah, I liked it until I heard that news, but again, a lot of people thought Austin Matthews might go home, but at this point, when you look at that, when you look at the fact that they aren't going to be playing in front of a big crowd, I don't believe Matthews will go home. He's the most marketable player in the NHL. He is one of the best players in the NHL. He is a massive money driver. There is no way that the Maple Leafs will let him go, for one, and two, the fact that he would want to leave. He's likely going to go down as the best player in Maple Leafs history, and once John Tavares hangs up his skates, I think there's a chance that Matthews is the captain of this team. But as of right now, that's not the case. Although Sheldon Keefe did say at one point during one of his post-game press conferences that Matthews is the leader of this Maple Leafs team. So personally, to me, I don't think there's a doomsday clock. I could be wrong. I think Austin Matthews loves it here. The fans absolutely adore him. There's no reason to believe that Matthews would leave, and at this point, I think you just have to talk about it, and that's it. There's really no chance. I really could be wrong in saying that, but when you look at Austin Matthews and the possibility of him leaving, I think it carries the same weight as what if the Leafs won in the first round. And when I talk about that, a lot of people say, well, that hasn't happened yet. And to the same with Austin Matthews leaving. That hasn't happened yet. Nobody's talked about it other than the people wanting to talk about it, and that's that. But let me know what you think about that. Will Austin Matthews leave in the next 2 seasons if the Leafs don't get past the first round? Put it in the comment section down below. I think the biggest thing you take away from Brendan Shanahan, Kyle Dubas, Sheldon Keefe, and the players' media availabilities on Tuesday is just the fact that it's okay to stay patient. It's okay to be patient. It doesn't happen a lot with NHL teams, but I find that it happens more in real life. The fact that there might be somebody who has something that they're passionate about, and they stay patient, they continue working through things. It may not happen after the first year, it may not happen after the second year, but down the road, big things will happen. And I think that's one of the big pictures of this Maple Leafs team, is that although they're being patient, and it may be frustrating and it may be a very hard thing to think about, there could be very good things that come down the road. And that's what I believe Maple Leafs general manager Kyle Dubas and Brendan Shanahan are looking at and thinking about right now. There's always that possibility, though, that patience can run its course and things might not happen. But we're not going to think that way. We're going to think that patience might just be the key to the Maple Leafs' success in the future. Now, though, that is where I'm going to end off today's video. A little bit different of a video on the Leafs, so let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Also, please let me know if you'd like to see more Leafs, Marlies content in throughout the summertime, or if you'd like to see some different things as well. Put it in the comment section down below. That is where I'm going to end off the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like. Again, let's hit 100 likes on this video. That would be crazy. And as always, if you did enjoy the video, please subscribe. That helps a lot. And again, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.